Okay, guys. So today I'm going to continue from where we stopped in our previous class. And in our previous class, we did something on MongoDB. Well, we actually use Mongoose to manage our MongoDB database, right? So what we did in last session was pretty much how to link one collection to another collection, and then how to populate that collection we are linking to the other one. So when we call the other collection by its ID, yeah, we do something like populate on it to get the actual value instead of just having the ID alone. We do something called populate on it to actually get the table's value. And then we can also use select to select the only part we needed from that collection. And then, of course, we can use select to just select some parts or to deselect some parts, like maybe some colon or, yeah, in SQL, it's called colon. Can use it to like limit some things you don't need from that particular collection. All right, so we're going to we're going to go into it even like we're going to be looking at the code and talk a bit about it before we move on to our to the new topic today. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, so please tell me if you can see my screen so I know.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Yeah, so thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, thank you. So I need to hide. Come in, please. Let me hide this floating control. Okay. So where are we? Okay, we are in index inside of, oh yeah, this is the index file. So if you can see on the right pane here, let's see if I can zoom in a bit. Okay, so on the right pane here, we have our model, we have our middleware, we have our controller, and this coverage, I need to delete it again. It's always coming back. Actually, it's supposed to be for test. So we have middleware, controller, model, and then we have our views. So don't forget we are we are still using the MVC pattern. So we have our M, which is the no, not middleware. Our M is the model, our V is the views, and our C is the controller. So just in case you don't know, the controller is actually the one holding the handlers. So in our routes, we only call files from the controller. And in our controller, we only call files from our, in the controller, we call the model. And then we also call the views, right? So, but what we are returning is supposed to be the views. That's if we are building like a full stack application, it will be the views that we're actually returning, like displaying to the client. And then we pass data coming from the model to views. Okay, we have not actually talked about our template engine for the views. So normally, usually they don't actually use or serve HTML files in this views directory. People use they use some templating engine like EJS. We have handlebars, we have Jade and the likes. But when we get to templates and engine, we're going to be using EJS. Yeah. So the reason for the templating engine is it allows you to pass like JavaScript data to it, and then you can actually access it. As passing the data from the backend. You know, views is pretty much front end, right? Your HTML and CSS and all that. But then the templating engine allows us to be able to pass data, JavaScript data, to it right from our controller while serving it. So as you're serving the views file, you're also passing your JavaScript your JavaScript object to it too. Of course, you can pass your arrays. You can pass arrays to it. You can pass strings to it, but I just said object. Okay. So yeah, we're going to continue from where we left off, which is I think. So let me just walk us through it again. So yeah, some people might have actually done some things on this. Some people might have practicalized what we did the last time, and some might, some might not. Well, I'm not sure. That's why I used might. Okay, so yeah, we have our Mongoose here. So our Mongoose is actually Mongoose is a package. Yeah, it's an npm package. Well, it's used to manage your database operation as your MongoDB database operations. So basically we just we took out the schema and the model, and then we use the schema to create a template or a placeholder for our database what we'll be saving inside of it. We used the schema to define things we are going to be saving in our database. So you see, we are expecting a name, and the type is going to be a string, and it's required, and then we're actually trimming the value. So that's what you see there. Likewise, email, we're doing the same thing, but this time we're making it unique. So we're actually telling MongoDB that, oh yeah, this is going to be unique. So please don't allow one email or one particular email to repeat itself twice. So that's what we're just telling it with the unique key that has the value of true. So it's actually it's a Boolean. So you see we have true. Okay, likewise password too. So it's string and it's required. It can't be empty. Likewise the status. So there's a string, and then we give it a default value if any value isn't passed to it. So you can see that it's not actually required. Okay, so we have our created art, updated art, which are like our timestamp of the it's actually a timestamp when of the creation date. It's the timestamp of the creation date of any data that comes in inside of this what's it called, that passes through this schema here. That's the schema we are declaring here. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much it. And also we have profile schema. It's almost the same thing with what we'll have in our account schema, because it's going to be, I called it user schema. I should have called it I should call it account schema. Well, if I change that, I'm sure it won't affect anything. I just need to update it down here. Yeah. So also we have user schema. I can't actually mess with this, because if I do, I would also need to change it inside of our inside of our handler, which is the controller. So we have model. So this is actually a way of telling MongoDB that, oh yeah, using Mongoose to tell MongoDB that we actually want to save any data that comes from the account schema. We want to save it straight inside of our account collection. Yeah, account collection. So this is the name of the collection here. All right, so I'm going to open up our, I think, Atlas. If not, it should be so actually I need to go through it here. So yeah, were we able to download what's it called? Coming. Wow, I thought I downloaded it the last time. So I don't have it here. So I need to check. So we actually wanted to download Atlas the other time. So, but of course you can't download Atlas. So yeah, it's Compass. So were you able to download it, Abiola?
Yes, I was able to download.
I installed it the last time and I can't find it again. Wow. So it went missing. Did someone okay. That's gone missing, yeah. I don't know what actually happened. And now I think I'll be having trouble installing it again like the last time. I had to disable some things in my file or like to, yeah, this thing. Okay. Yeah, we actually, we need it to visualize our data, right? So Windows Defender. Can type Defender. So yeah, Windows security, this is it. Okay, how many of us do we have here? So Mr. Dolapo. Mr. Dolapo.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, is there something you need to ask?
no, I've not watched the video before, so that picture.
Oh, okay, that's cool. So yeah, Abiola, is there something you want to ask?
No, sir.
Okay, so that's cool. Yeah, I think I might have real-time protection, not here. It's not Tampa. I've actually, I can't really find that place again. I think it's somewhere here. Is it? Yeah. Yeah, okay. I think I need to. Um, yeah, my system is kind of slow today. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, smart screen, how to disable Windows smart screen. Is that screen spelled well? Thank you. But I think it's been executed already. Okay, yeah, so profile schema. So yeah, Abiola, do you have any question at all? Like,
Well, for now, I don't think I have a question currently.
so I was disconnected. What really happened? Okay, can you hear me?
Okay, yes, we can hear you, sir.
Yeah, so I asked Abiola, is there anything, any question, or do you face any challenge while trying to, test what we did the last time, or trying to do it on
Okay,
your own? Do
yeah,
you?
when I was trying to do it on my own, I was capturing everything we were doing then. So I just
The
followed
same
it, but
pattern, yeah. Yeah,
I
okay,
fo-
follow the procedure.
yes, I followed the procedure and
So, okay, so task will be coming soon, yeah. So
okay, sir.
we actually need to get our hands strong on this thing. Okay, so today, yeah, since we've been talking about password and the likes, let's just look for a way to delete. Okay, so yeah, we've not actually implemented change password and then reset password in our database, right? But can you do that on your own? Is this something you can think of how to do on your own?
Well, since you taught us how to send email,
Yeah.
I think it would be easier to do now. I think
Okay.
although we still need to think about it, but I believe it should be easier.
Okay. Yeah. So today, let's just so we in the last session, last class, we were able to reference another table, right? Let's say we're able to reference one table from another table. So how about, have you think of when you delete the actual user, let's say you delete this user, and then the user still have some data in other tables. Okay. Using references, right? Yeah, there are a lot of things you need to do. If you're deleting this user, you need to clear all their informations. You need to clear all their informations in other tables, in other schemas. So you don't just delete the user and expect things to be fine. I expect the approval to be deleted. I expect their permissions to be deleted. You don't just do that. In an SQL or in a relational database, they actually gave us a way to do that, but I think it's a bad practice now. And I think it's called Cascade. So while deleting, you just call Cascade on the delete query, and then it's just going to delete any foreign tables. As any tables that you or any collection that you reference, just going to like delete all of them, like straight up. But in what's it called? In MongoDB, it's not actually done like that. You have to delete them by yourself, one after the other. So yeah, let's just we've not actually implemented delete. So let's quickly do that here. So this contact, I think I need to delete the contact because we're not actually using it. So let me check index. I don't want to. Did I bring it in here? Okay, so I think it's no longer here. So let's execute this code and start implementing. So pm run dev. So please ask questions. The other people aren't here, and it would have been better if they were here because they might have questions, right? But we that were here, we are lucky, right? So please take any opportunity you have to ask questions. So yeah, our server started, right? And we're connected to MongoDB. So I'm just going to hide it. So down here, this is in our user controller, right? So let's scroll down a bit. Our account DB here. So I bring it in. So check user, okay. I'm just going to leave those guys. Okay, so we have our profile, and this is only sending the profile HTML file to the browser. So not that we don't want to work there. So we want to work inside of delete user, right? So check. All right, so we need to delete user by their ID, right? So if, or let's just console.log request.params, because we're going to be putting it on the params, right? So .id. By now, I believe you guys know what all these things are. So actually request.params is actually going to, well, let me just log request.params. So params is actually any parameter that comes from the URL of our domain, right? So now let's go to our index. So this is what we're managing our routes. So like going, maybe in the next tutorial, we'll need to like structure this. We need to restructure it properly so that we can have a route file where all our routes are going to be inside of. So we just have to just bring in that route file here. So where is it now? So let me just take this off. Come closer. So we have user.homepage. This is going to like just reply with the homepage. I think homepage HTML file. That's in the initial route. If you hit slash our URL, like our domain name slash, it's going to like return the homepage. Okay, so this is our post to create a new user account. Verifies the user account, authenticate the user. That's for login. Get user profile, and I think that's all. So now we need to create another one. So let's say delete user account app.delete. Should it, let's bring them to slash user. So app.delete slash user. Authorization, yes. They need authorization. They need to be authorized before they can actually delete a user. So you have to be logged in first before you can delete your account. That's when you actually know that you have an account, right? Who does not have an account can't delete anything. So authorization is actually a way we are like is actually a way we're actually using to check if the user has an account or not. So user or delete account. So yeah, I hear we need so we need what's it called? An ID. So it's going to be slash colon then ID. So this actually is a params. So it's a query params because we use the colon sign and then we pass in some letters after it. So this letter that we pass after it is what we're actually going to use to get the particular value they pass after user slash. Yeah, so that's it. So go back to our controller and close the model. Go back to the controller. So it's actually delete user that we did here. So we need to change this name to delete user. That's user.delete user. So here now, console.log request.params. So we'll be able to see what we are going to be working with. That's what was passed inside of the params. It was passed as the params. So bring up insomnia. So yeah, I'm going to be using insomnia to test. Of course, you can use your Postman if you have it installed. This, yeah, I can use this one. Connect. So I'm connecting to my database on MongoDB. So while that is connecting, let me check. Insomnia is still coming up, right? So let me check here. So as you can see, it's still loading though, but if you can see, we have database here, and then these are the actual databases we have. So we're working in test DB, so just click it. Now test DB, you can see it's collection, it says collection name. So we have account collection, permissions, profiles. Well, you can, these users isn't the collection we're actually using. So it's just these three that we have so far: account, permissions, profile. So let's check our accounts. The account collection. Wow, we have like a couple of users here, right? Yeah, so we can choose to delete anyone we like. Okay, so this guy is up here and then authentication. Wow, okay. So update user, get profile. So let's get all the user profile we have. Not found slash user. No, okay. This is get profile. So I believe it actually needs let's check. It needs the user's profile ID. So come back here. Let me just copy one from here. Okay. So I don't really know the endpoint, but let me try this user slash, wow, it's not user. So I think it's profile. Oh, okay, let me check. I need to be sure. So let me just check the endpoint we have here. So it's actually the get request. Oh, so I don't think it's using the, what's it called? I don't think it's using the ID. So I think it's using their authorization key. Okay, yes. So it's using the authorization token. So, whoa. Let me check. Get profile. Which routes? Post profile. So it's a post request actually. It's not a get request. So that way they are able to upload or send in their authorization token. So post, we get session expired. That means the user session has expired. They need to actually log in again. So if we log in now, we get a fresh token. We copy that. So come back to get profile. So we need to only change our authorization token. So we hit send. Now we get the user information. Okay, but today we want to actually delete this user. So while deleting the user, we're going to be deleting their permissions and also their account. We'll be deleting their account, their permission, and also their profile. So they have nothing left on our platform. So yeah, delete user. We can call it delete user, right? So it's going to be a delete request. So this is going to be needing an authorization token. So you also want to copy this authorization here, the token. So put it in our header. So we have authorization here in the header. Authorization like that. We paste it in as the value. So that's for the header. Then we need to figure out an endpoint for it. So come to this side here, delete profile slash profile. So actually this is going to be slash user slash the ID of the user. So one of which we can get here. So after we get the user profile, we can copy. So this status. So now we need to be careful here because we're getting their profile, right? And then we're also not getting the account ID here. We need to look for a way to get that. But remember, the status is coming from their account. The status is coming from their account. Of course, we need to look for a better way to like include their profile ID so that we are able to know, or so that front end is actually able to know that, oh, this is the account ID. Of course, when you see status and then you see ID inside of it, your mind won't go there that this is the account ID, but we already know that, right? So we can just easily copy it here. Come back here, paste it after the slash user. So I believe if we hit send, I believe we should, well, this is going to actually keep loading, but let's check our code. So check. Yeah, so now, yeah, we check it. Now we see post slash profile. Wow, we are not expecting it to come from slash profile. So cancel this. Send this in again. Yeah, so now we see it's called delete. It's called delete now here. And then we have slash user and then the ID. So this is actually the endpoint that they actually made the request to. And we have it here. So don't forget, we are logging something like, where is it? So if you can see up here, so we are logging request.params, right? So this is actually what params looks like. Params is an object. So this is what it looks like. And then if you see here, we have ID. That's because if we go back to the endpoint here, we can bring this down. So if you can visualize this, our request here, app.delete, right? If you can visualize it, we have colon, then ID here. So if you change this name now to maybe account ID, it's not going to show this ID again. It's going to show this letter or this word, the word you write here. It's going to show it. So let's save that now. So for just in case, well, we are not just alone here. And then of course, some people might be watching and they don't know what this is all about or what this means or where it's coming from. So if I send this request here again now, we go back here, we see it has changed to account ID here. So before it was showing ID, which is here, but now it has changed because we changed the params, right? So the name of the params, we changed the name of the params. So that's why I have it here now. So it's account ID now that we're going to be using inside of this place. That's inside of our controller. So yeah. So now we can say, and let's not forget, we have access to our, what's it called? We have access to our model. So here, user model. So we're going to be using user model. So, and firstly, though we have our authorization middleware, we have it to validate that the user session has not expired, right? So we have it there, but it's not actually checking if the user exists. All it's just checking is if the user session has not expired. And then if it hasn't, it still allows them to be logged in. It allows them to still be logged in. So, but if their token has expired, right? That's if a session has expired, it does not allow them to log in. It's actually going to say session expired. So yeah, so we need to actually check the user. So we need to check the user, what's it called? The user ID. So here we're going to say something like, so const ID equals to request.params.account ID. The reason why I'm saving it in a variable is because when we want to delete the user, we're actually going to need it. And we're going to, I don't want to start typing find by ID, then I'm going to say ID equal to or something. Okay, so yeah, here now, the next thing we do is check if the user is valid. Well, find by ID and delete can help us do that. So we can say user model dot find, well, find by ID and delete. This is just basic English, you know. So you just put the ID here, and then this is going to surely return a middleware. So we want to handle it with .then. So say user. So let's just check. So let's use console, or we can just say rest dot. Let's use JSON for now. So say okay. So why isn't okay? Some people might use success. You might see success equals to success true, success false. But yeah, I just like using okay. And then message. You can say user deleted successfully like that. So user successfully deleted like this. And then we can just return the user, that's user data. And then the next thing is we have catch, right? Let me save to be sure this is okay. It's been formatted correctly. So we have our dot catch. So user not deleted. This can be user not deleted or user not found. Well, there's actually going to be a reason why there's an error, right? So let me just do, well, yeah, let's just run it this way. We're going to see everything in our browser, right? That's in our, what's it called? It's actually called Insomnia. So let me initiate the request, send it, expect the results. Yeah. So I believe this user information has been deleted. So we have message. Check the message area, make this bigger a bit. So if you can check the message part, you see user successfully deleted as stated. So now we've deleted this user information. So now let's go to get profile. Don't forget uh the uh the the authorization the authorization token we are using is actually this user's authorization token. This user, we deleted the account. It's the actual user that we're using their authorization token. Same here to get their profile. So the user is going to bypass our authorization check. Why? Because their session has not expired. But I'm sure we won't be able to get their information. That's if it's been successfully deleted. So let's initiate the request. Now we get 404 not found, user account not found. This is coming from get profile. So you know that the user actually passes our authorization middleware. So we check for the user if they are valid, that's if they are logged in rather. We check if they are logged in. That's if the token we issued to them is still valid. That's what I'm saying token. That's this token here, this actual long string you're seeing here. It's very long. And so me, I'm just making it a bit shorter because of the size of the input field here. So that's the authorization token. That's what you're using to check if they are valid or not. That's if they are logged in or not. All right, so that's for that. We've been able to delete the user. Now we are not able to even see their information again. But mind you, we didn't delete their what's it called? Their profile. We didn't delete them from the profile collection. We didn't delete them also from the what's it called? Uh we didn't delete them from profile, we didn't delete their permission too. So we didn't delete them from permission table or collection actually. So we have a lot of users here. Notice we have, I think, about 4 here. If I'm counting well, we have 4 here for now. This is actually 1, 2. The one up here is 3. If I scroll slowly a bit, we have 4 here. But if I refresh now, click on this refresh icon here, that's now it's been reduced to 3 because we actually deleted 1 from it. Okay, but then if you come to permissions, I'm sure it's still going to be 4 here. Yeah, the permission is 4. If you refresh, we're still having 4 here because we didn't delete them from this part. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing now. But first, we need to actually be able to log in into someone's account here, like into one of these, click on account, and to actually be able to log into one of these accounts. So we have, the name is Rememekun, the email address is this, copy that. So come back here. Yeah, I think we might need a password. Wow, that's going to be the problem here. So let me try if I can still, I think it should still be the same password. So I've changed the email address. We're able to, so we can, yeah. So the password is still the same thing. So we can just copy their authorization token here. Go to delete, go to header. Yeah, paste the token here like that. Okay. And meanwhile, we don't actually need this what's it called? This ID on the params. Why I said that, because we can actually get the ID from their token, right? So we can get their ID from the token. But the reason why I'm doing this is we might want to, maybe we might want to delete as an admin. You might want to delete maybe someone else's account, right? I don't know if the best way to actually get that user's what's it called? The user's ID. I don't really know if if the best way is through this our URL here. That's the params. We might also say, okay, when an admin clicks on delete, uh, we can send it through maybe a form or so. We can send through a form, or can just get the users. So the front end can just get the user's ID and then add it to the request body and then send it to us. I don't know if that would work. Well, it can work. It can work. Maybe let's say they are deleting multiple users at once. Maybe they are marking the users that they want to delete their account. So they mark 1, mark 2, mark 3. They just click on delete. So that way it's easier for them to bring it through the request body, like to submit it as a form body instead of, or what do you want? Is there a way? Do you think there's a way you can add like 3 or 4 users account ID to this URL string that won't cause us problem? It's going to be stressful. So how are we going to do it? User 1, user 2, user 3, and then user 1 equal to, that's query params. User 1 equal to this, user 2 equals, so that won't work. But in this case now, it's easier for us since we know that they're actually deleting their account. So it's easier for us. So we can skip the ID, the what's it called? The query params parts that's having them to pass it through the URL as a query params. We can skip that part for now, but I'm just showing you how you can use that. I just showed you actually, so I just did that. So now you know how you can delete from the request params, right? That's from the, just tap the URL, tap the ID out of the query params or the URL, tap it out, and then delete the user, or we get it from their token. So that's actually what we're going to do next now. But then don't forget, we need to use that, what's it called? We need to use that ID we got to actually maybe fetch their profile information and also their permissions, so we can delete all of them one after the other. So now let's come back here. So we are still in delete user. So we need to actually, we're going to learn something like some other things going forward. We're still going to learn a lot, right? So I don't think having to do all these things here inside of controller is enough. Well, for me, I don't really use MVC again. Well, I don't really use the design pattern again. So why? Because I need more flexibility. I need to like structure my codes in some other ways. So we might use model to actually do some magics there, and then come to controller here and do a little thing here. Just call some things from model to help us here. Well, that might not make sense now, but when we start implementing those things to make sense. Okay, so yeah, let's check our middleware. That's our authorization middleware. So you see in this authorization middleware, we included, what's it called? Where is it? So we actually we extract their token from the request header. So you see the headers dot authorization, then we did some magic here, split. We get their token, we verified their token here. And then we also added the email. Okay, this is actually adding their email, not it's just adding their email and not their account ID. So of course, I'm sure we would have access to a lot of things here, right? Oh. So I can come back here. So that problem happened. I think it happens here. So while we were actually logging them in, that's supposed to be inside of login. We did not actually include their ID, I think. So let me check it well. So where is the part that we hashed? So this is the part, yeah. Oh yeah, okay, we have their ID. That's cool. So while generating their token, if you can see here, we have generate user token, and then we sign a token for them. But notice in this object, we have ID, which is user.id. So that's the user's ID. Then we also have email. So, and then we have our secret, and then it's going to expire in 2 days. I'm going to change this. Well, this secret is just a random secret. Well, it's actually important. But then, of course, you wouldn't want to leave your secret key here like this. You'd want to put it inside of your env file. So if you are implementing your own, please don't put your secret key here. You can just call it, use process.env.secret to add it here, and then you have it inside of your env file. Okay, so that said, since we have access to the user's ID here, we can also say request.local. So attaches the user ID to the request like that, then rest.local. So it's not going to be user email again, it's going to be user ID, and then changes to ID. So the reason why I just did user.id is because in the user controller here, while issuing them their token, we called it ID here, like this ID. And then notice the email to record it email here. That's why we're able to just, just do user.id on the other part here. So now we're able to get the user ID from response.locals. Of course, we can also do the same thing here as request.user ID to make it easier. Well, the best way to do it is res.locals. So I just made it simpler here by using by using request.email. So I just attached it to the request object. So now if you come back to our controller, we know that anywhere we have our authorization, we have access to the user ID and their email. So this is sign in, right? Just minimize that. Go to delete. I don't really know. I don't think it's up here. So this is create, minimize it. This is delete here. Okay, cool. So now we have, let's get their ID. Instead of request.params, I can just say res.locals.id, like sorry, user ID like this. Wow. User ID. So now we have the user's ID. Of course, we can log this to the console so that we can see what it looks like. ID. Okay, so user model will find by ID and delete, right? How about if this user's ID does not, well, so user model will find by ID. Of course, this ID is always going to come from, it's going to always come from our token, right? So let me come in. What I need to do is I need to delete this user first and then try to delete the user again to know the kind of error we would get. So don't forget, we're finding the user by their ID and we're deleting the user. So what would happen if this user's ID has already, if this user's account has already been deleted? If it has already been deleted, is MongoDB going to, or Mongo is going to throw an error? Is MongoDB going to throw an error? We need to check that too. So yeah, find by ID and delete. So we have then, this then I'm sure would have access to their, I'm going to have access to their information here. So let me check the console, or not the console. This wouldn't give us anything cool. So yeah, let's go back to our user model. So check now if there's actually a way we can get, so we can use the user email. So after deleting the user, we get their information back. Then we use their email to fetch their profile information. So they share the same email, right? We can use it to fetch their profile information. So we can use it to delete the user. So we use the user, we use the user email to fetch, to find and delete the user's profile. So they share the same email. So we can use the email from the account to delete the profile entirely. How about permissions? Is there something they share in common? No. Or let's see. Okay, so user type schema. Okay, so we can use their account ID to delete their permission here, since we know that each time we create this user, we save their account ID here. So don't forget this part here, this type here requires their ID to be passed here. So when you use dot populate, it converts the ID to their information, to that user's information, the user that has that ID. It brings the user's information instead of just the ID. So we're not going to be calling dot populate on it. So we're just going to do delete and then delete. That's, we use the user key here to delete the particular user. So yeah, so that's actually how we're going to do it. But let's see if there's a way we can make it easier. Accounts. Okay, so there's another thing we could do here. We could actually add what's it called? We can actually like reference their permission table here and also reference their account their profile table here, right? So we can just of course we can do that, right? So that's, we're only going to, the reason why we're putting it here is to be able to easily reference them and then delete them. So we can do that. Of course we can, but so let's see how, as I've said earlier, let's call profile model. So this is going to be delete user account. And then inside of this, we can also delete user profile, and afterward, we delete user permission. All this is going to happen before we reply to them. That's before the response. So profile, I don't know if it's actually profile model. That's the model name. So let's see. Let's find it first. So it's up to, wow. Okay, it's up to 4 here. So that's cool. So this is actually the second time. Okay, so it's actually profile model, right? So we're not finding and deleting by ID because this ID we're getting here is not their profile ID, it's their account ID. So I'm going to look for a way to delete them instead of profile. So find, don't forget we use find by ID and delete here. So it's actually used to find IDs. So I notice we're not putting it as an object because I think they're expecting a string to be here. So we'll just pass in that here. So there's only one way to know. Call it like this. And there is no description on this. Okay, there's a description here. So method, so ID, and this, they said any. I believe can be string, can be object. So it's any, it's not actually limited to just string alone. So the options here, query options. These options, they didn't actually say whether it's an object or not. So let's see. So callback. This callback, of course, you know it's a function. So we see it here. It's a function that takes error first, and then the doc does the response file, the response object or whatever. Yeah, like the response. So if there's an error, you get it here from the first parameter. Or if it's successful, you get the return here on the document, that's the second parameter. Then there's response, something else. I haven't actually used that. I believe it's something you can try. Or you can look it up in the documentation, right? Okay, so let's restore that. So here now we're going to say find one. I think it's find one and delete. This is valid. So over on it. Yeah, so it's valid. So find one and delete. So it filters whatever you pass here. It filters it from the rest. And then we have options, and then we have callback. Error first callback. And then the second parameter is a doc. So we are going to use that. But notice here, we just resolved it as a promise here. We didn't actually use the first parameter and then the second parameter as the callback. So we actually handled it as a promise here. So we're going to do the same here. So find one and delete. This time we're going to make it an object instead of just a string. So we say email equal to user dot email. I hope this is right. So if I log the user to the console here, of course, we're going to have their email within the objects that we get in the console. Can you guys hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, do we have any question? Any questions, please? Nobody has a question. That's cool. So I believe we all are following. So it's a return to meeting. So we have Moses, thank God you're here. Good evening. Okay, so email. So now this is actually this part here, this find one and delete. would filter some things, right? So we put in where, so just think of it like, okay, so find one and delete where this email is equal to the email we passed to it. So it's going to like check through all the emails inside of this profile and see anyone that matches the one we put here, the one we pass here. So if anyone matches it, it's just going to delete it off, right? How about if no one matches it? So let's use our then here. So actually, we can, I think, put this here. So let's use that callback method. Let's use that callback to be able to delete. So yeah, let's use the callback. So profile, you can either use callback or like resolve the promise via .then or using await to do it. So I think, okay, profile, so it's an error first function or callback function. So error, the first parameter is error, the second parameter is the actual stuff. So we're using arrow function here. So do like this. So okay. So we'll say if error, let's see what we're doing in the catch block here. So if there's an error, user not deleted. So we can actually say user not deleted, or so first thing first, if there's an error, we just log the error.message, or so if there's an error, we get the error message. Of course, before any code can come to this catch, you know that there's always going to be an error. So this catch block here is expecting an error. So like we're never going to get this user not deleted, because of course there's always going to be an error, and the error is always going to have a message. So error.message, or just use this as a default message. So let's just leave it this. So of course, I am telling you that we're never going to get this part here, because every error is expected to have a message, except maybe, um, well, this is not our regular try and catch block, right? So the error that is coming here is only pertaining to this profile model of find one and delete. So we're only expecting MongoDB error here, except we throw our own error. And of course our own error is going to have a message. So the catch block is always going to like have a message to display. So this second part is not needed. So yeah, okay. So this one here, I think this error here is for this find by ID and delete. So this part here, we're going to do this place now. So if there's an error, of course we don't want to write our response code inside of here. We don't want to write res dots or anything. We don't want to return anything. I mean, using res.send or res.json, or yeah. So here now, well, we need to return something out of here. Okay, so the reason why I said we can't just write so we say if error, then maybe I don't know. We can't say res.json and then have our okay false, okay equal to false, and then have our message error or message like that. We can't do all those things here. Okay, you might want to ask why, and I'm going to answer. But do we have a why? Do we have a question like why can't we just say res.json here? Anybody? Okay, so yeah, nobody has any question regarding that, right? So I'm going to explain why I said that. Okay, so this code is actually reading from top to bottom like this, right? So, and then let us not forget that HTTP isn't an what's it called? So it doesn't send things asynchronously, right? So of course it does things one after the other. So in every request, you can only respond once in every request that comes in. You can only respond once. So imagine here now, don't forget we are inside of this user model dot find one and delete block, right? And then if the code reads from here, it comes here, it check profile model find one. So if there's, of course, it's going to reply if there's an error, and then if there's no error, it's still going to reply. So if there's an error, it's going to say rest.json, that is going to reply the client, and then the request is going to close there. So if there's no error rather, so if there's no error, it's going to reply. Rest.json is going to like respond to the client and then closes the connection. And then after doing this here, so either ways, if there's an error or not, it's always going to reply inside of this block. So after entering this block and reading to that part, it's going to come out and read downward again, and then get here, sees another rest.json here. Meanwhile, the connection has closed. We've responded already. So when it gets here, you are going to then get something like cannot set header after they are being sent to the client. You're going to get that kind of error inside of your console. Of course, it's not going to say that to the client. It's not going to tell the client that. No. What it's just going to tell the client is what you've asked it to do. That's in this part here, rest.json or stuff like that. So you're going to get that error like can't set header or send header after they are being sent. Can't set header after they are being sent to the client. So it's that kind of error you get. And of course, I think they said in maybe in the next version of Mongo or in next a warning that says maybe in the coming version of NPM, errors that you don't handle are going to break the connection. So let's assume that your application is already running and you got an error in your console and then you did not handle it. It's just going to terminate. It's just going to like close the connection. As your server is just going to shut down. Well, I think it's that. Well, for me, I think that's what they meant by that kind of error. That's unhandle, promise rejection error, things like that. Yeah, said that. So let's just. So here now, of course, we don't want to do these things we've done here. So if there's an error, I plan on throwing that error. So just write throw new error, and then we put the error here. So this error that we get here, throw it. Well, we might not say, let's just throw the error instead of creating new error instance. So if error, throw the error, right? So else here. So why are we doing this? So of course, by now it would have. So why are we throwing an error after we've deleted the user account here? So user model will find by ID and delete. The user's account must have been deleted before we even get to this part here. So if we even throw an error here, right, we can't help the user anymore. We've deleted the account. We can't help them. So the user account has already been deleted, right? Let's just pray that there's no any error. Of course, we don't expect an error because the user has they have a profile, right? They have an account. So after deleting the account, we just come and delete their profile, except for that user that we deleted the account, then that we did not delete their profile, except maybe we are able to lay hands on maybe their ID and then initialize this delete process. Of course, their account is not going to be that. We're not even going to see their account. So it's their account that we're not going to see, not even their profile. We'll still have their profile with us. Okay, yeah. So yeah, we can leave it this way, yeah. And this part here, we can even just skip this part, right? Or we can return, let's say else, return let's return a boolean. Can return a boolean here. We can just say true, and then sorry, forgive me. This part here, if error, we throw an error. So let's not even throw an error because throwing an error, we can't help the user. So there's nothing, we don't need to, we can't even use that as, can't use the error we're throwing as anything cool for them. We can't use it to help them. So here now we can just say console.log error.message, and then return false. So the reason why I'm just returning true or false is I plan on doing something with that. So after returning all these things now, we want to catch it inside of here. So const what can I call this now? Delete profile. Okay, let's use deleted profile. So it's just going to be true or false. So we've now, this is the code that deletes the user's profile, right? So how about their permission? Let's use the same process here. So deleted permission, permission, like that. Copy that. Okay, so here. So this is actually going to be permission model. So let me find it first to be sure. Yeah, we have 3 of it, and then we're in the second, on top of the second one here. Okay. So find one and delete. Now, call this user. Why? Because we know that in user's permission, like the user permission, no, their permission schema, we have something like user there, and then it's equal to the user ID. So this ID should be, well, this ID can be coming from, let's say the ID is coming from this find one and delete that we called on the user model. That's to delete the user account. This is actually the user account that we get here in this user here. That's this parameter here. So here now, of course, we know that the ID that is coming from there is not just straight ID, it's spelled underscore ID. So we use that underscore ID like that. So deleted permission. So yeah, let's go back to our user model. So this is account schema. Yeah, it carries name, email, and then password and the like. So close this up. Profile. This profile shares the same, like this email is the same email with the account email. So that's why we're able to just find the user by their email. The user's profile by their email. Now this permission, that's where we are now. So see, now we have a user key here that accepts the schema types object ID, that accepts the account, it accepts the account, what's it called, collection ID. So the user account is actually, the user account ID is actually the same ID that we put here in this user here. That's the value we assigned to this user. And then that is done when we did it ourselves, right? When we were creating, when we're creating the user's account for them. So for you that you're coming for the first time, or you're seeing this for the first time, let me just scroll down a bit. So come to this create user. While we're creating the user, so this is the user, this is the user value, like the things they gave us, the information they gave us. We extracted it from Joy after Joy has validated the user information. So we extracted it here, name, email, and password. Then we put it inside of this object. Then we use it to create the user account for them. So we created user. So just say await user model.create. We create the user account here. And then we got information about, so we got the created account here as the created data. We got it back here. And then in this profile now, this permission here is actually the user's permission object. We are building it here, or we build it here. So we built it here. Yeah. We have user equal to created user dot underscore ID. So we put the user's ID here while creating the permission. So after creating the user, we just put their ID here as the user. We set it to be the user. So now we are deleting the user's permission by this ID we put here. So likewise, for the profile, the profile has email, which is the same email, the same email the user gave us while they were creating the account. So yeah, profile and the user are sharing the same email. So that's why we were able to just call the user. That's why we were able to just delete the user permission by their email. So deleted permission, we set user equal to the user ID. Yeah, simple enough. Okay, so let's just call this permission now. So, and then we are not actually using it for anything, it's just there. Okay. So now deleted permission, if error, we just log the error to the console and then return false. Else we just return true. So deleted permission. So now, while building, like this is the object I'm going to send back, right? So after deleting the user, we just send the user back. So we send a message and also a user object, right? As the object is going to contain the user information that we deleted. So now what I intend on doing is, or what I plan to do is, get the user, then attach deleted profile to it. So of course, I think there's a way we can just use spread, yeah. So we just say user equal to, I think it's done this way. I've actually forgotten. We spread this here, then deleted user. I don't know. This is not a thing. This is not something I use day by day, or this is not what I use every day. I don't really use it every day. So spread it like this to it too. So yeah, I can also spread deleted permission, right? But then I just have to make sure that, okay, so we are inside of the scope of this line here. We are inside of the scope. So let's make sure we're there. So yeah, everything we're doing is actually here inside of this inside of this user model that's find by ID and delete. So that's the part that we actually deleted the user account. So we are still working inside of this scope. So what we are doing here is we are setting the user to another object. So we are overriding the previous object, but then we spread this same user object, we spread it inside of here. So spreading is like this is actually going to like take away the object and then bring out the keys and values that are inside of it one after the other. It's going to bring them out. And then if it's two, for now, if we have user email here, and then this deleted profile also have user email, like if this user has email and then this deleted profile also has email, they're just going to like override each other. So the second one is going to like override the first one. So yeah, that's how you can also use it to update. You can also use this from this way to just update an object, right? So yeah, that's just it. Deleted permission. I hope this works, to be honest. So let's save it. Well, deleted permission is not actually an object. It's just a boolean, but let's see if that would work for us. Well, just take this as something we're just try and error. Okay. Yeah, I can't wait to just execute this code, but let's see if we have an error first. So this is our console. Everything is working perfectly here. So connected to MongoDB. Let's test this out. Where is Insomnia? User deleted. Okay. Yeah, don't forget, we've actually logged into another account and then we got the account token and then we pass it here. So let's initiate this delete process now and see 404 cannot delete /user. Let's go back, check. No error here. Cannot delete /user. So let's come back here. We have delete. Oh yeah. So we need to take away this our query params here. So we've taken away that to make sure the endpoint is actually what we are sending information to. So send now. Oh yeah, it has been deleted. We got 200. Okay, but then we got an error here. Oh yeah, it did not actually delete because we're actually inside of, we're getting false. That's okay to be false. Converting secular structure to JSON, starting at object with constructor topology, blah, 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 blah. What are all these things? I don't know. It's constructor, okay. This better be like JavaScript related error. That's our, yeah, it better be like this JavaScript related error, not MongoDB stuff. Okay, so we are inside of this catch block. So it's the catch block that actually showed that error. Yeah, it showed the error too. Also, let's set the status here. This, well, 304, not modified. 500. Say 500. I don't actually know I can say 304, so they know that but 304 is not an error like status code. So let's just say 500 or something, I don't know. So what are we expecting in the catch block? So if find by ID or delete, if there's an error inside of this place, we get an error there. And this error is not relating to server error. So we're going to look for something to do to that error message. So here, I mean, that's status code. So we're going to look for another status code to put there, but for now, let's use that. So rest the status, this is going to be 200. So yeah, and now here. So I think the problem we're having is from here. So I'm going to like do like this dot deleted profile, set it to this, close this up. So going to be user dot deleted permission set to the value of deleted permission. So it's going to be Boolean. So since we are returning Boolean, so now let's try that now if we're going to get this funny error. Yep, cannot read email of null. Yeah, so I believe it has successfully deleted. Not sure. I'm not actually sure what is going on here, but let me check. So we have the user's ID, the account ID, right? So let's go back here. Let's get this user information, login, user, get profile. Let's get this user's profile. So user account not found. So I believe we've successfully deleted the user's account. Now let's try another user. Let's try another user. So come back here. We need to like get an endpoint for fetching all users, so we don't have to always be coming here. So let's refresh this account part. Yeah, so yeah, we see we only have two. So we've deleted that user's account. But let's check the permission. I doubt if Oh yeah, we have 3 here. So this is cool. So let's check this again. That's the profile. So we have 3 here too. That means we've deleted 1. Okay, so let's get another ID from here. Grab this one. No, we don't need the ID. It's the email we want to use to log in the user. And I think the password stays the same, so we don't need to worry about the password. That's for me. I don't need to worry about it here. But for you, if you pass through this process, you need to be sure of the password. So login user. Paste it here and then let's sign in with the same password. Yeah, it's cool to use the same password. If not, I'd have been like, I'll be worried about the password. I'm meant to be thinking about the password here. Yeah. So I need to go to this. Yeah, the token. So initiate this. We initiated the request, but we did not get. Yeah. So all those things we attached, I think they didn't actually attach to it. But the user account has been deleted here. So there's no error in all of the code. If we check here, everything inside of inside of this user model was found by ID and delete went successfully from the profile down to from deleting the profile down to the permission. So if we go back here now, inside of our compass here, right, enter permissions. This is permission, right? So we have 2 here. Let's go to profiles. Wow, we have 2 here. Let's refresh. Okay, so it has deleted their profile. It has deleted those profiles. It has deleted the profile. This profile has been deleted. The user's profile has been deleted from here. Likewise, the user's permission here. So we just have 2 here. If we come to the account, I'm sure we'll have 1 because we made mistake at the first request to delete the user. We did not actually delete their profile and also their permissions. So now let's delete this last user now. If we delete this last user, don't forget in our permissions, we have just 2 details here. That's 2 records. Also in our profiles, we have 2 records here. So if we go back to log this user in, actually, I think I copied the account ID. I should have copied the email address. I think it's still the same email address. Okay. So yeah, log the user in to get their token. So 2197 failure when receiving data from peer. What's that supposed to mean? Let's log in the user again. Wow. Okay, I'm not actually familiar with this kind of error. Let me check my code to see. So true cannot read property password of null. Okay, so I'm guessing that this account does not exist. Paste that here. Wow, okay. Elijah. So it's trying to tell us here. What is this? Cannot read property password of null. And then this error was handled. If not, would have seen something like unhandled error. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I think it's high time we create a new user account. Yeah, so it's high time we do that. So let's this end with 97. Okay, so before I do that, right, I want to clear this one here. Let me just delete this from here. go to permissions, delete all the permissions here. So we can start with a fresh, you know, database from records rather. So database records. So delete everything. Now we have a clean collections here, right? So let's come back to Insomnia. Create another user. So this is going to be 97. So it has, I'm looking ledger 97, right? Oh, this is not good. Couldn't connect to server. Sender again. Now I need to check. Okay. Now let's restart the server. Yeah, like that. Okay, starting node, listening reports connected to MongoDB. Cool. So we'll go back here, send the request. Okay, user created, right? Nice. So let's log in the user, send the request. Failure when receiving data from peer. So what are you trying to tell me now, that you can't log into this user? Unhandled error events. This is unhandled error. Cannot read property password of null. Okay, so that's login, right? That's the login route. I think we aren't using, Christ's sake, what's this? Close this up. Sign in user, right? So which database are we using? User model.find one, email equal to email. Okay, so wow, I hate this kind of errors here. So I don't even have an idea which line. So let me see. Controller user JS 175. 175. That's, oh, it's big crypto. It's coming from big crypts. Yeah, big crypto compare sync. Slow down. Okay, compare sync. User model dot find one. So what's the error like? It says cannot read property password of null. Password of null. Property password of null. So that's user is null. That's user is null because trying to read password on top of user. So the user is null, right? That means he didn't get any user. If error, true error, that did not show an error. So let's actually log what user is like. Let's see what user is. Okay. So slow down a bit. User model, let's find one. So when we created this user, what did we save them? User model.create, right? See, console.log created user. So first thing, let's log in again. So it threw an error, that's nice. So let's see what that is first. So let's see, we logged user, right? So let's see what user looks like. So user is null. That means it did not fetch any user. We've been able to log in since. Okay, so let's check here. Let's check our schema here. I mean, our compass. We have an actual user here. And then I'm sure we'd have a profile. So we have a permissions, we have a profile. Okay. So let's go back to creating the user. So create user. I think we need, let's try and create, we should get couldn't connect to server. Try that again. So let's check what this error looks like. So I think I need to terminate this first. Kill it. So npm run dev to start again. Wow. Errors are actually the way you learn though. Like, okay, so duplicate key. Yeah, I expect that. So that we've created a user already. So a user with this email has been created. So we're having a duplicate key in our collection. So let's try another user. 2197, create this. Created. Let's see what that user looks like. Okay, so this is the information of the user. Cool. And an email has been sent to the user. So let's log in here now. Let's log in with the one with the 2197, the one we just created now. Failure when receiving data from peer. Which peer? So cannot read property password of null. Okay, so this is good. Now we have to troubleshoot this here now. So sign in, this is for sign in. And I think the sign in is showing that error, right? So finding one by email. So first thing, let's see what the email looks like. Or yeah, log the email. Let's see what it looks like. So initiate that again. So not you, and my code. Check the console. Okay. I think the information didn't get there. So send again. Failure. Yeah, no. So now let's see. Okay, so we have the email here and we get null. Yeah. Okay. Okay, find one by their email, right? Okay. How about, but this has been working since. Did I change anything here? I didn't touch the code. Is that someone that's touching my code behind my back? And the system is actually sitting on my lap. Nobody, I don't expect. Okay, so I don't expect anyone to tamper with it here without me noticing. So let's use this method. So let's use the dot then method. Then, so let's use dot then because I don't really understand what this thing is telling me. Then let's have dot catch. So error. Any help? Yeah, thanks. Okay. uh let me just double check again. So we're not expecting error here, so let's take this off. Yeah, let's leave this. So take this line off, take this line off, take this one off as well. Okay, so let's check. Okay, listen on ports connected, nice. Login. Cannot read password of null. Sweet. So the problem is with big crypts, not, oh, yeah, the stuff is still null. Are you okay? Okay. Sorry, I need to hide this floating meeting controls. So mongoose.com. Okay, mongoose find 1. Gig for gigs. Mongoose itself. Yeah, Mongoose. Okay, so after creating, so we should be able to find one, right? Where's the sample? Okay, so they have name like this. Then it was passed here. Okay, this is find one and updates. I need find one itself, not find one and update. I clicked the wrong link here. Okay, let's see. Gig for gigs. What do you have to offer? Yeah, find one. Age. Yeah, this is something else. Wait, is it? What am I? Wait. Let's refresh here first. Check the password again. Did it change? Didn't change. Okay, cannot read password of null. Okay. I think I know where this might be coming from. So when we create this user, create permission, we logged permission to the console. Let's see. We get all this bunch of stuff here, right? Created profile. Okay, we didn't use it for anything. Wow, this is tough. Everybody hates, well, I like debugging, but now it's getting frustrating. Okay, so create user, we're able to create the user. When we create this user, it was inserted in the DOM, like it was inserted, right? But fetching the user is the problem. User model dot find one. Find them like this and give us the information. Sorry, sign in, right? Come back here. Login user, sign in, that's login. I'll find their password. So we got their email. Find one and delete. But then okay, how about find? Let's just find. Let's not. So this find is for finding all the users. So it's going to bring all the users an array for us. So inside of this place now, we need to do something else. So let's say users. So since we are logging, since we are already making use of user here, I don't want to mess with those codes there. So I'm just going to create another variable const user, or let's use let user equal to users, then give it one. I'm going to give it a user. So yeah, I have users as a parameter here. And then I assign the users to user variable, like the first item inside of the user array is going to be assigned to the user variable, so that wherever we've been using user wouldn't encounter any error or change. Okay, but here I want to actually, so let me just send before or after before token, let's send users along with the request. So let's see it here. I'm expecting find to bring arrays of all the users we have. Exactly. So that's what it's doing here. Right. So we have users, a lot of users. We have a token here. So find is actually working, but the find one is what is not working. Find one. Okay, so let's just create an object here. Const filter or email equal to no. Okay, user email equal to an object. So email is going to be the actual email, or ES6 can just do it this way. Email. So user email. It's going to be here. So let's it's not going to be an array again, so just pass in user and take this off, this variable off. So check again. Are you able to retrieve it this time? Let's see. Cannot read property password. Nice. This was working before, right? Yeah. Anyways, so let's continue with the find. I hate to debug all day long, yeah. So I don't want to do that. Like this. So it's find. Using find to get all of the users. Okay, so we're going to log in into one user here. Yeah, so let's log in again. This time, this one is using all the users. This is taking so long. Okay. Yeah, so the token is pretty much all we need. Copy the token. Well, where did we even stop? Debugging can be frustrating. Paste. Damn, just copy the token instead of pasting. That's bad. Okay, copy this token, paste it in delete user, and inside of this authorization field. So send the request. We get user successfully deleted. Don't forget we created 2 users, or we've created 2 users so far. So let's check the login. In order for us to see that, notice inside of users, we have an array. So we have an array of first object. So the second one, we have another object here, which is 2, meaning that the users we have, they are all just 2, right? So we've deleted one user. I don't really know the actual user. I'm sure it's going to be the first one. So because that was what we selected here. So users to the index of 0, we saved it to user. So it's the first user in the array that we actually deleted. So let's check compass now. In the account here, let's refresh. Notice we have 1 now. Let's go to permissions. So notice we have 1 left here. Go to profiles. Notice we have just 1 left here too. So we've been able to Cascade delete a user. So why I use Cascade delete is because in SQL, like in a relational database, they call it Cascade. You can just pass in Cascade and then you don't need to like start deleting them one after the other from each tables. You just call Cascade on top of your query while on top of your delete query. You just call Cascade on it. It's just going to like delete every foreign keys. So that's what we're doing here too. We have foreign keys. So foreign keys are basically a key that refer to another table. So it's a foreign key there. Well, that's for SQL. So for here, we've been able to like do something similar to that. I mean, something like that. But then we had to do like go through more stress. So yeah, for you guys, yeah. And notice we are doing this. Where is that? Not this login. So this delete user. Notice we are doing this delete user inside of just inside of this single find one and delete block. Well, you can simplify your own. You can use a sync and await. So instead of just having to resolve this promise with .then, you can actually do something like const deleted user, set it to await to make the code maybe a bit cleaner. Just set it to await like this, and you don't need to do this .then again. So after doing this, but then yeah, you have to make sure that the function you are inside of is a sync function. So passing a sync here, so you don't get this red highlights below this purple await text. Okay, so after doing this, so it's going to wait for the user to be deleted before moving to the next line. And then after doing that, notice you have deleted user here. So every information is going to be saved back inside of that variable. So we just come here, profile model or find one and delete. You do your email, set it to deleted user dot email like that. This one too is also going to be something like a sync and await. So it's also going to be await. So like this, like now it's cleaner here. So you don't need this. Actually, you just have to do it like this. Close that up there. So yeah, comment this out. So this is going to be like separate. It's not going to be inside of this dot then again. So after doing it like this too, you've successfully deleted the first, yeah, that's the user, and also their email here. Yeah, also their profile using their email. So what I can actually do is comment out a long line, yeah, like that. So what do we have? Okay, so we also have, and this here. So we also have something like that here too. A permission model dot find one and delete. So you can also say await here. And then this one is using the user. Okay, yeah, nice. So this is going to be deleted user here too. So we're using uh, the user information. So deleted user here too. And likewise here too, you don't need to do this. You don't need to do this. You don't need to do this. What's it called? You don't need to access the second. What's it called? Parameter as the callback function. You don't need to use it too. So then all of that is going to end here, right? No. So it's going to end here. Nice. So now we can then bring, of course, using this, yeah, you want to use a try and catch block. You want to set the block to be try and catch, so that you can catch any error coming from awaiting this guy here, like awaiting all these guys. So actually using a sync and await, I don't know if you can actually check for error like this doing if deleted user, because I believe it's just going to throw an error straight up to your face. It's going to throw an error out of this user model to find one if it's not able to find the, I mean, if there's an error inside of that block. So you want to wrap this whole thing. Well, you can actually start from here. So you want to say try here, wrap it here. So this way, I think it's going to be even much more cleaner this way. So take that guy off, come down here. Oops, gone too far. So are we having an issue? Okay, no. So you want to have your catch here. Catch, spell it well. You can't use spell catch. Catch. So like this now. I think it's simple enough like this. So actually simple enough like this. So delete user profile. This is going to be delete user permission. Yeah, like that. So if everything goes well, of course, we want to have a response. So it's going to be res.json, no status this time. Pilot, you are bringing error codes here. Okay. So deleted permission, user deleted successfully. Do we care about anything? No, we don't want to show. But we can actually show them the user. So that is, you have user deleted user. Yeah. So like that. Now let's execute this. I've minimized it to be smaller. So everything is small here. Okay, so now let's first we need to check how many users do we have. We have one user. So I'm sure this should work. I hope it works. I hope we don't encounter such error here again. But then we need an ID. We need a token. So let's log in. Hold up, slow down a bit. So login, I don't think we're actually logging into this user. Okay. Yeah, so what we are doing is I think we are actually, so let me check again, sorry. Oh yeah. That's inside of login. So we did that magic inside of login. So because why I'm saying that is we've deleted a user, right? And then this login email was the actual, well, well, I'm still thinking that it's the actual user we deleted before, but I noticed that we find all the user, and then all we just do is we get the first user from the array of the users we get, and then perform the rest of our operations on that user we get. So it's not really this, what we log in here, what we are logging in here doesn't really matter. So if I like, I can just put an email that does not exist here. If I click login, it's still going to log in because it's not actually using this information again. It's using an array to fetch all the users and then continuing and then it's also continuing the operation on top of the first user of the first user in the array. So we still have one user in the array. That's why we're able to be to log in. Let's delete this user now. We used to test that code we implemented just now. Okay, so delete. Yeah, we get user deleted successfully. Nice. So the code is now slimmed down. We've slimmed the code. So let's check now. We don't have any user. Let's check the permission too. We don't have any again. Check the profiles. Nobody there. Nice. Okay. So using async and await actually helps. It helps to slim down your code. And you see. So yeah, you guys can you can now cascade delete now. So don't forget, while deleting your users, while deleting the user accounts, you need to also delete their profile and also their permission, or anywhere you refer, or yeah, anywhere you are actually referring to the user. And then if you're actually passing if you anywhere you're referring to the user information. So for the account, if you are referring to the account somewhere else, you actually need to delete their profile there. You understand? So that's using this our referencing pattern here. Like having the user as a foreign, having the user as a like, okay, how am I going to put this? That this is becoming complex. So on the permission, we're referencing the account table in the permission. So if you have account as the foreign key here in the permission table, in the permission collection, they actually need to delete their information out of that place while deleting their account. So if you do it more than just your profile and then the permission, if you reference their information somewhere else, you need to delete their information from that place. That's if you put in the information there, you need to delete it. So don't forget, you don't want to leave anything behind while deleting the user info. You want to clear all their records from your database. Well, except if you still want to keep it. As if you want to do something else with it, you can leave their information there. So yeah, that will be the end of today's session. And I hope you guys are able to grab one or two things out of it. So yeah, does anybody have a question? Please throw it at me before we end this session. Mr. Abiola, Mr. Moses, do we have any questions? So we can treat them now. Stop sharing. No question. Okay, so that's going to be all for today. Thank you guys for being here. Bye.